Can you hear me now? All right. Can you hear me now? I'm trying to adjust on the sound. I thought it was working earlier on. All right. Let me know if you can hear me. Let me know if you can hear me. Let me know if you can hear me at a Keith and of course at a K Williams. Sorry for that slight hitch. I don't understand what the issue is, but I'm trying to work on the sound. Let me know if you can hear me before I get to proceed with the show. Can you hear me right now clearly? Let me know if you can hear me. I'm really trying to work on this. Okay, I'm really trying to work on the issue with the sound. I'm really trying to work with the issue on the sound because earlier on I was just updating you on the situation that is in Mali. That is in Mali. Okay, thank you for that, Keith. And I'm sorry once more. Sorry for the hits that we are experiencing. I was just updating you on the situation that is in Mali, whereby young children right now they are at the target of being abducted. They are abducted from their homes, from their playground. They cannot even go out there and interact with anyone because of the issue with a political insurgency in Mali. And remember, of course, you are tuning to the Black Hot Fire Network, media for the 21st century. And of course, this is the Calmie African Diary Show. This is the Calmie African Diary Show right here on the Black Hot Fire Network, media for the 21st century. And remember, you can get to log in at www.blackhotfirenetwork.com and you can get to enjoy some of the amazing videos that you might have missed on Black Hot Fire Network. And still on Black Fire Network, you can get to listen to the amazing music that gets to play live from the Black Hot Fire studios. And also you can proceed to support the stream as Cash App Mr. Black Hot Fire, and also you can donate at www.blackhotfirenetwork.com. And remember, the topic of the day, it is in regards, the topic of the day, it is in regards, of course, to the types of marriage customs that we do have, to the types of marriage customs that we do have, of course, amongst the Zulu people. That is the topic of the day that we are going to focus on the show. And let me just proceed and get to, of course, update you. Let me just proceed and get to update you on some of this. All right, so welcome back to the Calmie African Diary Show right here on the Black Hot Fire Network, a media for the 21st century. Sorry about those noises. I've been trying not to be like, these kids are better shut up. But of course, that doesn't get to hinder us from discussing the topic of the day. And remember, earlier on, before we did have the issue with the voice, I do trust that you are hearing me quite okay. I do trust that right now you can clearly hear me. But earlier on, I was just updating you on the situation that is in Mali in terms of things that are happening in Africa. But let us just proceed and get to the topic of the day. Let us get, of course, to the topic of the day in terms of some of the marriage customs of the Zulu community, some of the marriage customs of the Zulu community, because each community has its own custom. Each community in Africa has its own custom, irrespective of where you are coming from. You definitely do have your custom in terms of course marriage and things like that. Okay, Williams, you're asking who is doing that Calmie to kids. Actually, I'm just from like giving them a warning. There are just a lot of plenty kids around. Schools have not resumed, so it is just hectic. Working around the kids. But of course, I appreciate Asa K. Williams, Asa Kid, for joining me here on the Calmie African Diary Show, right here on the Black Hot Fire Network. And before I even get to talk about that is South Africa, Keith asked what is happening in Mali. What is happening in Mali is that kids, the number of child abduction is on the rise in Mali. And as we are speaking right now, a lot of children, they are forced to work in mines. A lot of children, they are forced to work in mines. So if you're a child, or rather if you have a child, as a parent in Mali, you rather advise them not to go out and play, because on most chances, especially the boys, they are captured by, of course, armed men. I believe it is the militias. They are captured, and of course they get to be to be taken to work on these mines and things like that. Some of them, they have been physically abused, and also some of them, they have been raped. There has been the issue of a psychological torture. So it is not easy growing up as a child in Mali. And of course, the Mali government isn't doing anything to curb this vice. Because if you can have the number totaling to 6,000, that is in a year, that will mean that even women will fear becoming pregnant, because why would I become pregnant and just give birth to my child, and a few days, or rather after it's grown, the militias are waiting for it to grow, and then they can get to mistreat my child. So it is becoming quite a tricky situation to grow up as a child in Mali. And Kay Williams said, fight each other and leave those of course okay just got that comment. But yeah, that is the sad situation that is happening, that as much as we keep saying that Africans, we need to unite, we are not uniting. Seems like we are not uniting, that things are, of course, turning for the worst in different African countries. And Samuel look said, hey Calmie, hi, I do hope that you are doing okay. And moving on from the situation that is happening in Mali, we do hope that the government gets to actually work, because as a child, you can't imagine being deprived your right to grow, of course, in a good and conducive environment. Moving on, let's take a look at some of the marriage customs of all the Zulu people in Southern Africa. And let me tell you one thing about marriage customs. As much as the tradition is still embraced by people, for some people, they believe that doing a traditional wedding is a no-no for them. But for the majority of people, because it is good to pass these customs, it is good to pass these traditions from one generation to another. So in the Zulu people, some have embraced the Western culture, or in terms of a wedding, in terms of in the Western culture, it is all about wearing a white dress, then the man gets to wear a black suit and things like that. That is the end of it. A large congregation, there's the reception, there's the presence of the cake, speeches by the brides and the groom's family. But let's take a look at the traditional side of the Zulu wedding. And I do trust that each and every one of you is coming from has a different, of course, African background. And in terms of these ceremonies, that do get take place, let me just get to let me just get to deal with this once more. Welcome back to the show. I was earlier on talking about the tradition, that is the marriage customs of the Zulu people. I believe right now we do not have as much hindrance as we did have earlier on. And I have told you that you're coming from a different African settings, from different African backgrounds, and you can attest to the fact that whenever there is something traditional, whenever there is something, of course, in terms of a marriage, in terms of the child naming, of course, there is a time, there is a specific way that these things are done. And let me tell you what gets to happen in a Zulu wedding. And remember, of course, the Zulu people, they are located in, of course, Southern Africa. We also do have the Zulu people, of course, all over different other African countries. So if you want to do a Zulu wedding, and remember we are talking about weddings because this is the time of the year that most weddings that do get to take place. And in the traditional Zulu wedding, it always takes place at the family home of the groom. Let me repeat this. The traditional Zulu wedding always takes place at the family home of the groom. Forget about the modern way, because the modern way you just have to cite a location. That is the end of it. Different, the family of the groom, the family of the bride, they'll come together and meet on one mutual ground. But in the Zulu wedding, the wedding actually takes place in the home of the groom, and the bride will leave her home early in the morning, covered in a blanket. Covered in a blanket. Let me just, I'm really, okay, covered in a blanket. The bride will leave, of course, her home very early in the morning, covered in a blanket. And of course, that is in a blanket that is given to her by her mother. The groom will also go ahead, buy 2 cows, which are slaughtered and eaten on the day of the ceremony. So in the Zulu wedding, you just can't marry if you are poor, because buying 2 cows also, it is a lot of money. So you have to buy 2 cows, and these 2 cows, they are slaughtered and eaten on the day of the ceremony. And as a bride, you have to leave your home early in the morning, covered in a blanket that is given to you by your mother. And just to continue on this, just of course, to continue on this, these are just some of the customs of in terms of the Zulu culture, because different communities, they do have something that they do believe in. For example, in the Zulu beliefs, the Zulu beliefs, they are formed around the presence of ancestral spirits. And these ancestral spirits, they are known as the Amalozi and Abavansi. Amalozi and Abavansi, these are some of the ancestral spirits that are formed around the Zulu beliefs. So of course, this has to protect your home. This has to ensure that the continuity of a generation. Those are some of the Zulu beliefs. So of course, in marriage, they also get to take a look at some of the Zulu beliefs. What is going to protect their homestead? That is one thing. What is going to ensure that in terms of what is going to what is going to ensure that in terms of a lady maybe has become, of course, pregnant, what is going to ensure that of course, her pregnancy isn't going to be tampered by anything. It is all surrounded by the Zulu beliefs. And of course, the ancestors, actually, they believe that the ancestors, our presence comes in forms of dreams. You can dream about something and then it gets to happen, or there's just a similarity of that. They believe that when an ancestor wants to communicate with you, they have to come in form of dreams, sickness, and snakes. So for those who do fear snakes, and you are in the Zulu community and you end up killing a snake, I believe that will, of course, that will get you into hot soup. Because in some communities you cannot kill a snake. They believe that whenever they see a snake, whenever you come in parts with a snake, then that is a good luck to you, that the ancestors are trying to communicate to you. And let me tell you, in some communities, they say that these snakes have never harmed the people. I think this is just all in what you believe in. Because me, if I get to interact with a snake, the first thing, it's either I'm just fainting, let it do whatever it wants to do to me. Because you just become numb. You cannot talk, you cannot run, you cannot do anything. But in the Zulu community, when you get to interact with the snake, that is the ancestor trying to communicate with you. And of course, and most of the time these sisters also, they get also to communicate, they get to communicate in terms of when a child is born, when you're reaching puberty, when there's chances of marriage and also death. They also go hand in hand. And remember, we are focusing on the Zulu, of course, a marriage custom, right here on the Calmie African Diary Show on the Black Hot Fire Network. And of course, I'll go, of course, I'll proceed and get to share with you some of these colorful and amazing Zulu, of course, traditional weddings. And remember, each community is rich in its culture. Remember, each community, it is rich in its own culture, in terms of how they get, to deal with the bride, of course, how they get to deal with that is how they get to deal with the child naming and things like that. So there are, of course, different communities that get to deal with in terms of the event that is happening. There are different communities that get to deal with this in terms of even the dressing code. There's a way you get to dress in a different, of course, community. Let me just to share with you some of this. We do have the Zulu and the Sotho traditional wedding. Perhaps you can get to enjoy this. This is definitely amazing. It is amazing. And let me just share this with you as we get to proceed, of course, with the show.
Kia bizela kia mkholo kia hus nazoga oh shaya machai usekhaya la ekhaya uzenzisa sebenze aw
Of course, the clarity of the video isn't that good, but I believe you can get to see a thing or two from that video. Of course, this is before you get to leave the home of, the home of, that is before the bride either gets to leave her home, or this can also be in terms of the home of the groom, because people are already there and of course they are in preparation. And as it has, it's always in every tradition, it is mandatory. It is mandatory for, of course, the older people in the society, the older people in the community to come about and perform some of these rites. You have had the women ululating. It is very much common. This is one way of expressing their happiness in terms of a ceremony like this. And of course, once more, I apologize for the clarity of the video. We didn't find something better than this. This is, of course, in preparation to the D-Day of the wedding. Of course, the makeup has definitely to be on. Okay, this is just of course it is a more of traditional, but of course they have infused the more of modernity in it, and that is why some many people nowadays many people nowadays they would rather of course include some a little bit of a tradition and get to infuse some little bit of modernity. And of course, sorry for the clarity of the video. Personally, I couldn't get to see it clearly, but you can tell from the video that they get to enjoy more of the traditional way in terms of in terms of the bride coming over, in terms of the bride getting to take a look at maybe the groom's home and things like that. And I've told you that the Zulu believes they of course circulate in terms of they believe that the ancestors get to talk to them in terms of they get to talk to them in terms of the snakes, in terms of the dreams. So if you are to marry a Zulu person and you get to see them interacting with a snake, that shouldn't give you a reason to run away. But of course, moving on to that, let's take a look at how much do these Zulu weddings cost. For example, from the one that I have shared with you, weddings are never cheap in terms of the costumes, whether it is a traditional wedding or whether it is a modern wedding. So in terms of the costume, the gifts, because on most occasions you need to buy a gift for the newlywed, you should also be prepared actually to spend at least 70,000 rands to 80,000 rands. That is quite a lot of money. And you can also get to, you have also to cater for guests. And of course, but it's all about, in terms of the cost, it depends on what you can afford and how well you can plan it. For some people, they have spent even a billion on the wedding, depending on how extravagant one wants to be. And for some people, if it is their wedding, they just want to spend as little as they can, because there is life after the wedding. Let me tell you, most of people spend billions on their weddings and they forget that there's life after. But, well, if there is that money, if you have that money, okay, you can go ahead and spend it. If you know at the end of the day, you're not going to feel that, of course, pinch. But still on the Zulu negotiations, we do have, they are called the Lobola negotiations. These terminologies are quite hectic to pronounce, but in the Lobola negotiations, what happens is that the moment you have agreed on the final bride price is actually Lobola in isiZulu. And if you have agreed on the final Lobola, this is the time whereby the uncles of the groom, they'll meet with the family of the bride and arrange for the payment. And this is very common because I've seen it also in my community. This is what happens. And I believe this actually happens in almost every community, that the uncles of the of the groom, they have to come to your home, agree with the bride price. And on most occasions here, the bride price is agreed on the level of education of the girl, the amount of money, the estimated amount of money that the parents have spent on the girl. So the higher the education, remember to cough in. Remember there are higher chances for you to cough in, of course, the bride price. And after you have agreed on the lobola, this is the time whereby the groom now becomes, a part of the bride's family, and a party is thrown. But if it is not agreed on, then I think you'll have to find yourself someone else to marry with, of course, a cheaper cost. But one thing about the Zulu people is that it is a polygamy. It is more of a polygamy in the Zulu. Sorry, it is more of the polygamy in the Zulu culture, and I think I wouldn't want that, because why would you spend a lot of money on me, and we just let's say we wed this month, the next month, even before you even have enjoyed ourselves, the honeymoon and things like that, how it gets to happen in wedding, the other month you have yourself another wife, so you have yourself another wife, and the pattern continues. So I think if you are to be married as a lady in the of course a Zulu community, then be ready to have a co-wives you are seeing. Okay, for some people they say that it is good to have a co-wife that you get to see that, this is my co-wife, rather than men pretending low-key that you are the only one, but they have another girl, of course, somewhere. But then again, the Zulu polygamy, it is known as a showe. So for the men in the group, if you wanted to enjoy, then personally you'll have to marry from the Zulu culture, because that one, it highly allows you to have even more than 5 wives and bear children with them. That is crazy. I wouldn't want that. For most African women, there's that pride you have when you still believe that, okay, I'm still the only girl that he's been seeing, or I'm still the only lady that he is entertaining. But men have actually become a little bit tricky in that they'll tell you you're the only lady, but 7 years after the marriage, after the kids, is when you realize you have actually a co-wife, and maybe this co-wife has actually even a triplets you've never even heard of. And this man will come home, balance everything, and you'll never even know. So I think at some point, the Zulu culture is just okay in that you get to see that, yeah, this is happening. He's with the wife number 2, or he is here and here. But it hurts. That is why we do have a lot of people that would rather become singles, of course, in the society. And of course, in terms of the Zulu, because the Zulu is actually, it is a quite a pretty good it is a pretty good and unique, of course, community. And one thing, perhaps you're wondering, what comes first? Is it the engagement, or is it the lobola? The lobola is, I've told you, the lobola is just in terms of the bride price and things like that. But if you ask me, there's some who prefer the lobola negotiations to come first. There's some people who prefer that when I meet you and you are interested to me, let's go home. Let me introduce you to my parents. Now, let's begin on the negotiations of how much you're going to pay them to get me to be your wife. But for some people, they'll prefer, the engagement, a period, they get to know each other and things like that before maybe someone gets to propose, before someone gets to propose and say that maybe they want your hand in marriage. So of course it all depends, it all of course depends on how you basically want it. And remember, we are talking about, of course we are talking about, remember we are talking about that is the Zulu marriage customs. We are talking about the Zulu customs marriage right here on the Calmie African Diary Show. And remember, each culture has its own unique tradition. For some cultures here in Africa, let me use the example of the Maasai culture. Keith, if you're going to look for a lady from the Maasai community, actually the Maasai ladies, they are pretty. They are pretty, let me tell you, tall, slender, and all pretty. And I've seen Maasai babies; they're quite pretty. So if you are looking for a Maasai lady to marry, of course you'll have to go to families. That is families. That is her home. Get to know her people, and the older men in that society, after you have agreed that yes, I'm going to marry this girl, they'll get to spit on you. So kid, you have to, if they spit on you, you have to be there and assume like, yeah, this is good, I'm enjoying the spitting on myself. But of course deep inside you're like, this shouldn't have happened, the spitting part, they should have skipped. But in some community, they believe that the spitting part is one way of ensuring that they are giving you blessings. So kid, if you go ahead and rub the spit that they have, of course, a spit on you, they be like, it is disrespectful of you. So you have to be like, play low key and let them spit on you and give you all those blessings. And I see at Keith, you've said yes. Okay, you've said all right. Let me just get this corrected from here first. All right, Samuel, you have said. Let me start from Samuel because it is a continuation. And K. Williams, first of all, you said all right, I will stay away from them. They like snakes, absolutely. So them interacting with a snake is one way of talking with their ancestors. So you can't hinder, of course, you can't hinder their communications with the ancestors. That is, of course, quite creepy. At Kit, you've said because you want people calming. That is why it is the same all throughout, of course, all throughout Africa. Of course, the Zulu community, they are found even in Zimbabwe, and of course, we are the same. And I see at, of course, someone who said, so if I married you, I would have to pay your parents. Absolutely, you will have to pay them in terms of, they have to spend money in terms of ensuring that they have been grooming me, my education, the food I've been eating, the trips they've been taking me. I mean, you have to actually, it is, I actually can say that it is just equivalent to what your parents have been spending on you. So you have to be ready with quite a lot of money. That is why in some communities you have to pay maybe a huge deposit if you can't be able to come with the enough money. But I've told you also, the education level highly varies in terms of marriage. And of course, yes, that is a sad truth. You just can't, in some communities you go and abduct a girl. That is when girls maybe are going to fetch water in the river, you go abduct them. go hide them and come to their, of course, to their father's homestead and demand their hand in marriage. If the father refuses, you still go ahead and marry this girl. So of course, that is in some communities. But in some communities, try abduct a girl. That will be the end of your life. And Akit, you said yes, Samuel, you have to pay the whole family for the bride. Actually, this is the time that even that uncle you've never spoken to will come there, pretend how they spent a lot of money in raising you, pretend how you are, you are just an expensive child, because they also want to have their cut. I mean, their cut. And the other time I was looking at a meme that was saying that as a lady, as much as you can be proud and all those, a diva thing in you, remember at the end of the day, you will be humbled by cows. That was just a meme that I saw somewhere else, in terms of saying that women should humble themselves, because during the bride price negotiation, this is the time that you will be humble. This is the time that you will be discussed in terms of cows. And all right. Samuel, you was already planning everything in your head. It is not going to be easy. It is going to be definitely hectic. And of course, you have said every time, all right, isn't there a discount after the third or something? Depends on where you are. Okay, someone, you want to marry from the same family. That will be disastrous. If you want to marry from the same family, the whole sisters, you will be definitely a very evil person. But let me just also read. Kitty said, all right, ain't nobody spitting on me, like Calmie says. Hell no, that is a no-no for me. Yes, in the Maasai community, they spit on your forehead and on your chest. That is the old man in the community. And that is one way of blessing you. And of course, let me just read this last, of course, comment. We are, of course, almost winding up the show. And you said they got installment payments too, lots of love. Absolutely, yes, they got installments. Let me tell you, in the traditional marriage custom, they'll be like, maybe they've said that they want maybe 50 grade cows. You know how one grade cow is. They say that maybe they want 50 or 100 grade cows. Inclusive on that, they need some goats, they need some chicken. Let me tell you, they'll ask you how much you have. You say it. It's more like it's more like a bargain. Then perhaps you say that you can't be able to afford only 3 grade cows. It's not going to be easy for you. You have to at least reach either 10. And one grade cow costs, of course, it is an approximate of is it okay, 100,000 Kenyan shilling. That is an approximate of one grade cow. That is $1,000 for one grade cow. So it depends on which community you are actually coming from. But remember, we were talking about the Zulu, the Zulu people. Zulu is the language. Remember, we were talking about the Zulu community all the way from Southern Africa, in terms over there, of course, a marriage custom that they get, of course, that is the ladies in the community, the men in the community, what they do get to go through. And I've told you different community. I've told you different, of course, communities. They get, of course, they get to have, of course, their own, their own demands, their own, of course, ways of, dealing with this. That is dealing with these marriage rituals, because it is quite expensive when the marriage is taking place, or rather when the negotiations are taking place. It is quite hectic. It is quite of course hectic for you to come to a conclusion. Let me just share this Zulu traditional, of course, wedding dresses before we do come to the end of the year. And not to the end of the year. I'm really actually coming to the end of the year before even the year is ending. Before you do come to the end of the show, and remember, some modernity and tradition has been, of course, imposed on this as well. Let's just take a look at how they get to dress before we get to wind the show. And remember, this is the Calmie African Diary Show, and you are tuning to the Black Hot Fire Network media for the 21st century. All right, let me just share this. Remember, this is all about tradition and modernity imposed into one. It is quite some good theme. You can either go tradition or you can get to blend more of modernity. But remember, many people would rather do more of course, the blend of both. Let me just share a brief over this. That is just a brief of what they get to done on that special and important day in the Zulu people. And of course, once more, welcome to the Calmie African Diary Show right here on the Black Hot Fire Network. Definitely. If you get to take a look at how amazing these ladies look, you'll get to pay all the money that your in-laws are requesting, of course, for you. And of course, we are coming to the end of the show, and Samuel already is giving us a hint of how beautiful the girlfriend is looking like. And you said she looks like my girlfriend. That is probably why. I think, all right. All right, we all appreciate everyone. Of course, African women are gorgeous. That is from a kid, and you cannot tell that no one is doing all this white, the Western way. No one is doing all this just white floral, not floral, all these white dresses. Everyone is trying to be more of as tradition as possible. And I think I really love this, because the moment you get to don something that is a tradition, it gets to make you feel noble. It gets to make you have a sense of belonging. It gets to give you that feeling of being an African queen, an African king, because it is a day you are meant to feel like a king. You are meant to feel like a queen also. And as Keith, you said, yeah, the black women mind is messed up globally, and colonialism has done a number on them, absolutely. And Samuel, you said that hate makes some pretty girls do funny, of course. And just I honestly did things when I was dodging to see what I could get away with. That is ad Samuel. But of course, it is all about the mindset. It is all about the state of awareness, because right now a majority of people, they are still not in their own state of awareness. I really appreciate everyone who did get to tune into the show and of course for giving in your views and sentiments in terms of the types of the marriage customs of the Zulu people. You've seen how colorful and amazing the African tradition is, and if we all try to impose more of this, then we'll always be having a sense of belonging in our society. And of course, Samuel, we appreciate you. As a kid, we also appreciate you for tuning in to the show. As a K Williams, we also do get to appreciate you taking your time and joining me here on the show that is on the Calmie African Diary show. We are coming to the end of the show. Much peace and love, and of course, remember to log in at www.blackoutfirenetwork.com, and you can get to enjoy some of the amazing blogs that have been lined up for you. Because remember, the reading culture never stops, irrespective of the age. And still, when you are logged into Blackout Fire Network, you can of course proceed and get to take a look at some of the videos that you have, of course, that you have not watched. You can proceed and get to enjoy some of these videos. And also, last but not least, you can get to like and share the videos, and also you can get to support the stream at Cash App, Mr. Black Hotfire, and you can donate at www.blackhotfirenetwork.com. We really get to appreciate. And of course, someone just one last sentiment you said, me being good looking helped me too. Okay, I think it is in regards to, yeah, I think it is in regards to maybe the good days then. But of course, we really appreciate everyone. Thank you so much as a kid for providing this platform whereby we get to talk about different matters and issues that are happening, of course, in the society. And remember to spread the awareness of the situation that is happening in Mali, that it is high time that the children of Mali get to have a brighter future, of course, in their own country. Much peace and love. We'll get to interact with the other episodes that are, of course, coming right after this show.